I'd like to welcome the audience to the May 22nd, 2018 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Before we proceed, I do see we have one of our police jurors here, Mr. Hal McMillan, representing District 14. Thank you for being here with us, Hal. I'd like to call on Ms. Dickerson to lead us in the invocation and pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening seeking your guidance and direction. Bless the board, bless the staff, and bless the community that's here this evening. We pray that you continue to guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And now for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Ms. Tammy, would you call the roll, please?
Chair Art Little,
Here.
Vice Chair Randy Armitage, Mr. Jake Forshey,
Here.
Ms. Patricia Kyle. Here. Ms. Julia Dickerson,
Here.
Ms. Sharon Delicia,
Here.
Ms. Janelle Hyatt,
Here.
Mr. Kyle Lee,
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre,
Here.
Mr. Kirk Smith,
Here.
Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. This is an 11-member board. It will take a majority of those members present to grant or deny any requests heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicant need to fill out a blue card request to appear form. The form is located in the back of the room. The form must be given to the staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponent will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers' request forms are submitted, the time allotted for individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After this discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The variance, exceptions, and preliminary subdivision requests are final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on May the 24th at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.cppj.net.channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Benton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, and Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. At this time, please turn off or silence all your electronic devices. We'll take appropriate action to approve the minutes for April 17th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our April 17th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 6, take appropriate action on sub 0418-0101, a request by Homewood Development LLC for preliminary subdivision approval to allow a single-family residential subdivision, 37 lots in Roach Estate subdivision in the 5300 block of Highway 14 East in Ward 2. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Cobb, and a second by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the Homewood area and encompasses 46 acres of agricultural zone land. If approved, the applicant has indicated his intent to restrict the development to houses only. The lots will be at least 1 acre in size with individual water and sewer systems. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because the development meets the requirements for single-family residential zoning, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development is subject to an application for and/or compliance with an LPDES stormwater discharge permit, which may be required through the Department of Environmental Quality and the Calcasieu Parish Division of Planning and Development, and that the preliminary plat and the drainage impact analysis must be approved by the Division of Engineering prior to submittal of engineering plans.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Tom Gale. My address is 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'll be glad to answer any questions if there's anything anybody would like to know.
Thank you, sir. Does our staff have, do the board members have any questions? We have no opposition on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Before we go to agenda number 7, I'd like to also recognize we have another police juror member with us, Mr. Tony Gilry from District 4. Thank you for being with us tonight. Item number 7, take appropriate action on VAR 0418-0039, a request by Nash Louisiana Properties, LLC, for a variance to increase density requirements, allowed 5 units, requesting 6 units in the 400 block of East Champaign Circle in Ward 1. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Mr. Smith. Ms. Wallace?
This property is in the Moss Bluff area and encompasses 3/4 of an acre of multi-family zone land. The applicant owns 3 vacant lots and would like to construct a duplex on each lot. The exterior of the structures will be brick and stucco. Each unit will have 2 bedrooms and 2 baths with 1,866 square feet of living space. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because the proposed density is consistent with the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, and that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? We have no opposition, no blue cards. Does the board members have any questions? We'll vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, take appropriate action on EX 0318-0019, a request by Horseman's Park LLC for an exception to allow industrial development solid waste site at 6032 Horseman's Drive in Ward 8. I will entertain a motion for a 30-day deferral.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Mr. Link. Before we go into voting, I'd like to ask Ms. Wallace if she has anything she wants to comment on this, or was the applicant?
The applicant is here, and I believe that there's an issue with the purchase agreement that has basically forced him into this request tonight. He is here if you'd like to call him up for him to
Would the
elaborate.
applicant like to comment on the deferral?
And while Mr. Clark is making his way up, I did want to point out that you have 2 letters in front of you that state opposition to the deferral request that we did get late this afternoon, and we were unable to upload them in time for the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. State your name and address, please, sir, for the record.
Chairman and Board, my name is Neil Clark, 4025 Auburn Street, Lake Charles. I represent Nikelco as a managing member. We're the ones who made application to ask for the exception. Last Thursday, we made the decision, and I wish I could have got this out to everybody else so they wouldn't have to come from Lafayette on this. But we had made the decision that this property was probably not going to work out for us with several different things. One of them being the opposition had objections, which I don't think that we had a chance to sit down with them and listen to them and maybe answer them. And the second thing is asking for a little more time. Our contract is going to end with Mr. Duplichan and Horseman's Park LLC. We officially asked for the deferral until next meeting because until it's ratified by all signatures, the agreement's not really an agreement yet. It's just a piece of paper floating around. We expect within the next 10 days that we will receive the proper documentation that pulls us out of the purchase agreement. And we're going to ask that zoning and planning pull our application because this property we're not intending on purchasing or moving forward on. Any questions?
Anyone, staff, any of our board members have any questions? We do have 3 blue cards in opposition. You'll be allowed 3 minutes for each.
And Ms. Litt, if I may, the only motion is to defer, so all
Right.
comments have to be on the deferral motion only.
Correct. This is for deferral only, just on your discussion on deferral of the application. We have a Jeff Brandhoff. Is that? Brandiff? Brandon?
Brantley.
Brantley, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Little, if they have no opposition to the deferral, there's no need to speak either, but I don't know if they'll have any opposition or not.
Speaking, name and address, please, sir.
Jeff Brantley,
Yes,
at 920 Horseman Park. I'm the president for Icy Distributors. We have a 15,000 square foot warehouse located right on the corner. And I mean, we have a huge opposition to any type of hazardous waste going into a facility right there beside a plant where consumable goods are
Mr.
being
Brantley,
produced.
what we want to discuss right now, what we have a motion on is for deferral itself.
Okay, the problem I
we
have
won't-
with your deferral is I traveled 4.5 hours down here, and somebody should have notified me in advance to keep me from losing a day of my time and my expense.
Okay.
Good enough?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Rachel Power.
I'm a co-owner of Quality Bolt and Screw Corp., 6040 Horseman's Drive in Lake
And
Charles.
Your name, please, ma'am?
Rachel Power. And I'm just commenting on deferral, opposition to deferral. Like Mr. Brantley, we drove all the way from Baton Rouge. We have a very large number of our employees here, and we only had 2 weeks to develop a case on this since we found out about it, and the applicant had substantial time, and so we really should have known before we left Baton Rouge for this. So we definitely are against any deferral.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Julia Taylor?
Thank you. Julie Taylor, and my address is 721 Kirby Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana, 70601. I'm an attorney. I was hired by Quality Bolt to represent them in this matter. And there are several reasons why we want this heard today. And the first is that you heard from Jeff Brantley and Rachel that they took off the majority of their day today to be here. We were notified at approximately 12:30 today that Mr. Clark wanted to defer this, and that's not enough time for these people who had already made travel plans. Second, we had 2 weeks notice to prepare for this hearing, and we made this our top priority. We It was kind of difficult contacting headquarters at some of these businesses in Horseman's Park. We spent a lot of time making a PowerPoint, which I think you all have, drafting letters of objection, and we're ready to go. All the parties are here. Mr. Clark has even said that he's going to withdraw the application. So from my standpoint, it seems like an easy decision, but we're all ready to speak. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Any of the board members have any questions, discussion? Because the applicant, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Porter.
I've got a question for the applicant, if he could come back up. I'm just kind of curious about, you said you needed time to get signatures on getting out of your purchase agreement. If this zoning exception doesn't go through, the exemption doesn't go through, wouldn't that get you out of your purchase agreement? Isn't that part of it?
Well, the purchase agreement requires that I make all efforts to the zoning so that my business can, we requested as part of the application that the purchase be pendant, of course, towards zoning.
Right.
So I have to make every effort to go to zoning and make this happen. So if I cancel zoning prior to an actual ratified agreement that the purchase agreement is canceled, then, in a couple of days, I could be sued for the expenses and turnaround from the seller's parties. And so this is one of those things where it's a paperwork process. I would like to add, if there's some sort of restrictions or anything we can put in place, one of the things I'm concerned about is Mr. Duplichan and Horseman's Park, is that if we go through with this and hear this case and you guys say, it's not approved, then this piece of property, lot number 5, can never not come before the zoning board within a year's time. And that may be unfair to Mr. Duplichan. And I'm trying to back out of this contract and walk away from Horseman's Park and leave everybody free and clear the way they were prior to me coming there.
Thank you very much. Mr.
No.
Gary?
So if we go ahead and rule on this tonight and turn it down, that's your way out. And if it's in your contract that it's gotta be approved by the zoning board before you have to buy it, if it comes before us tonight and we turn it down, it's done.
But no one else can come up for a year.
That's correct. That
correct?
property, if
On
there's,
that same piece of property?
on that piece of property,
Someone else.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Mr. Porter?
I do feel terrible. No one likes to have their time wasted. I just feel that at this point, continuing this discussion is wasting everyone's time in the room. So I just like to call to action.
We have a question on the motion. Ms. Tammy, can we do a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Is this request for 30 days deferral?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Armentor?
No.
Mr. Williams? Oh, sorry. Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
7-4, 2 against.
Motion to defer is granted. Take appropriate action on, this is agenda item number 9. We'll take a short recess while the audience exits the meeting room. We'll be right back. We'll continue with our meeting. Agenda item number 9. Item number 9, take appropriate action on EX 0318-0020, a request by Sulphur Sea Stores Incorporated for an exception to allow residential development, manufactured homes in the 200 block of Sirius Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Navarre,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Smith. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses nearly 2/10 of an acre of single-family residential zone land. The land was zoned R1 as a result of a 1995 request from the residents in the area. If approved, the applicant plans to sell the lot to an individual who plans to locate a new 24 by 68 manufactured home on the site. The home would serve as her personal residence. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because there is no evidence of hardship, the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adheres to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to the utilities being connected.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
No, not yet.
We have one blue card in opposition, Mr. Nathaniel Washington.
He's not here. He hadn't showed up yet.
Did you fill out a blue card?
No, sir.
He's got a
But I need to
petition.
get him.
He's got a petition.
I have a petition on my hand.
Sure, thank you.
How'd the blue card get turned in if the man's not here?
I don't know.
Well, we filled it out for him. Said he was gonna be here.
We'll take a few minutes and pass the petition around, and we'll proceed.
But a man can't just one lot.
There's several, you know how that goes. Once you approve once,
Washington, Nathaniel. Okay.
Please state your name and address, Mr. Policer.
Yes, Nathaniel Washington, 139 Syria Road. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. I don't have a voice, it's not gonna help much. We're the opposition, this is our second time here. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Washington, before you start,
Uh-huh.
you weren't here whenever we was reading the rules. You have 3 minutes to give your opposition against this.
Okay. That's it. Okay. As I was stating earlier, this is our second time here. Just a little earlier, there was a gentleman that tried to put another trailer in our neighborhood, man camp. We're afraid that this is going to open the door for the same thing here, so we're asking that you guys reject this petition, excuse me, not reject it, but reject what he's trying to do. More importantly, we've seen with the one that was put on our street, a lot of negative things that wasn't in our neighborhood. Traffic, profanity, drugs, I would assume, from just looking at the activity. And we just don't want another one of those in our neighborhood. So me and the rest of my residents, we got a petition signed, just about everyone on the street with the exception of one gentleman who wasn't home signed that they want to reject it as well. So we ask that you guys reject it.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Mr. Navarro?
Yes, sir.
You keep talking about a man camp. This is one lot for one trailer.
Yeah.
There's not a man camp close to it that I could see.
There is a house on our street that's, from what we can
Well,
see.
there's two trailers in the lot next door to it. There's two old trailers.
Yeah.
And then across the street, there's a vacant lot, and there's some trailers back there. So it's not that it's not consistent, it's consistent. And I don't understand why they say we have to have it's not a hardship. Why would it have to be a hardship to get it, if it meets the qualifications? I don't understand that part of it.
Oh, those trailers been there long before I've been there. I don't know.
I agree with you.
Okay. Ms.
Can you
Wallace?
tell me
would
why it
before
had to
the
be a
rezoning,
hardship before we would?
Well, what happened?
Yes, sir. Mr. Crane?
What happened in, I think it was 98,
95.
95. 1995, the residents along this road requested that all that property be rezoned to R1, single family. And so that was the wishes of that neighborhood back then, and that's what the Planning and Zoning Board did and the police jury did. So there were already existing trailers out there, and they've been there. And so that's why it would be inconsistent, because the Planning and Zoning Board and the police jury back then rezoned it so that it was single.
Okay.
That's why it's inconsistent, Mr. Barr.
Now, if this person would put the manufactured home on a slab, would that be consistent? Still no?
No.
No, manufactured home, that's a,
You know, 'cause sometimes they can come put them on a pilings or slabs.
well, a manufactured home is designed, in a manufactured that has a hood sticker to it. Now, they make some modular
Modular
type
home,
homes
yeah.
that are built to the International Residential Code. And so you can't really tell the difference a lot of times on in terms of the look.
It's
But-
construction.
Yeah, and so, but a manufactured home, it has a HUD sticker on it. That's what it's designed.
And in 2017, we denied another person requesting the same.
You did.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was gonna be a rental though, I think. This is a single-family residence. Is that correct?
It doesn't say rental on it.
That
The
is-
other one.
The other one, I believe, was gonna be 2 units, and they were both going to be rental. In this particular case, the woman that wants to purchase the land, she doesn't own it. It's contingent upon what happens tonight.
Yeah.
And it would be her personal home.
Does the applicant have anything they want to say on this? Or is the applicant present?
We do not believe that the applicant or the
Okay.
woman that was interested in purchasing it here.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the board have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Washington.
Thank you.
Ms. Tammy, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Cobb?
If I say yes, I'm going to say deny.
The motion
Wait.
was,
Yes is for, and no would be against.
Okay, no.
Ms. Galicia?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Navarre?
No.
Mr. Porsche?
No.
Ms. Hyatt?
No.
Ms. Dickerson?
No.
Mr. Link?
No.
Mr. Armitage?
No.
It failed.
Motion failed.
Double click.
Agenda item number 10, take appropriate action on EX 04180021, a request by Adrian Little for an exception to allow residential development, manufactured home at 3052 Pizza Road in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Cobb.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Link. And at this time, I will refuse myself from the discussion and voting on this applicant. Ms. Wallace, please.
This property is located in Carlos and encompasses just under 10 acres of single-family residential zone land. Currently on the property is the applicant's home. If approved, the applicant's daughter will place a used manufactured home on the west end of the land to the rear of the house She plans to live in the manufactured home for 3 to 5 years and then potentially build a home at this location. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because the manufactured home will be located behind the applicant's house, the staff does not anticipate any impacts on the area. The staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adheres to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to the utilities being connected.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? State your name and address for the record, please.
Adrian Little. I reside at 3052 Pizza Road in Corliss. We went around to a few neighbors in our area. This is all the ones that we was able to speak to, basically, and they're adjacent to our home. There are 2 dwellings north of us, 2 dwellings south of us, and, you know, they weren't able to come, but we did get them to sign a little document here that states that they are okay with it. So, other than that, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Any of the board members have any questions or concerns?
Is that your brother?
Since we have no opposition, no blue cards, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 11, take appropriate action on RZ 02180055, a request by J&A Investments of Southwest Louisiana LLC to rezone from agricultural A1 to multifamily residential RM to allow residential development of 4 duplexes at 6143 Mark LeBlue Road in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Cobb and a second by Ms. Galicia. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the LeBlue settlement area. Last month, the board deferred the applicant's original request for 7 duplexes to allow the applicant time to submit an alternate plan, and the new plan under consideration tonight requests approval for 4 duplexes. If approved, the duplexes will be constructed with brick exteriors. 1 unit of each duplex will be 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, while the other unit will be 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. And we have not received any written opposition to this request. Because the proposed density is not consistent with the area, the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that screening must be provided in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code, and that only the north 375 feet of the property be rezoned as shown on the attached zoning map.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? We have no opposition, no blue cards. Does the board members have any questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 12, take appropriate action on RZ 03180060, a request by Redborn Properties LLC to rezone from mixed residential R2 to multifamily residential RM to allow residential development. 4 duplexes and 1 house at 2802 Smith Ferry Road in Ward 4. Entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Navarre, second by Ms. Dickerson. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located near Westlake and encompasses 1.29 acres. The property is currently vacant, although our records indicate a contracting company was licensed here up to 2017. If approved, each unit constructed will have 2 bedrooms and 2 baths with approximately 1,800 square feet of living area. We have received a petition in opposition to this request, and it's on your tablets. Because the density is in character with the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that screening must be provided in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code, and that all drives and parking must comply with section 2648 of the parish code.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
My name is Robin Bissoni. My address is 1010 Lakeland Drive, Lake Charles 70605. I am representing Red Barn Properties LLC. We want to acknowledge that there is a 5-duplex development 263 feet south and across the road from us. The property immediately adjoining our property to the north is zoned light industrial. Adjacent properties and other properties on Sandifer Road are already some rental properties there. I want to show you a couple of pictures of the natural screening that we're hoping to keep. It's a beautiful piece of land. There's some very mature magnolia trees and live oak trees on the property that he is planning to keep. This applicant does not currently own other rental properties. He has been a contractor and has built nearly 20 homes ranging in price from $350,000 to $750,000. I've also provided you some pictures of the single-family residences that he has constructed in the past. So we are talking about good development. It's going to look very good. The pictures of the trees are along Smith Ferry Road and along Sandifer Road. And there's some beautiful live oak trees down the middle of the property, and he is doing everything he can to keep those as well. So we wanted to share that with you. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Does staff have any, or the board have any questions? Mr. Delicia?
So these are beautiful, but how do we know what the rentals are gonna look like?
We don't have the plans ready yet to show you the elevation and what the front would look like. We do hope to have those ready by the police jury meeting.
Any other questions from the board members? We do have opposition in blue cards. Thank you. We have 6 blue cards in opposition. You'll be allowed 90 seconds per speaker. And we ask that you not be repetitive to your fellow speaker in front of you. Mr. John Lofton. If you would, please state your name and address.
My name's John Lofton. I live in a manufactured mobile home at 608 Sandifer Road. And I'm just on the southeast side of this property that's in question. I've lived there all my life. Drainage on that particular area where the homes and stuff are gonna be drains east to right in front of my property, then it crosses the road to continue east. And that's been blocked up right there for many years. Our police sure hadn't lifted one finger to help us on that. Now, other than the drainage problem, well, our road is a real small, narrow road. All the extra traffic coming in and out, I can see is a very big problem. And, excuse me, does the guy want to build a house on that property for him and raise his family? That's a great idea. I don't think anybody in this world would object to that. But all the other rental properties, what I'm looking at is this: when all this construction is out of our area and the people are gone, is it gonna turn into low-income housing? If it does, here comes the drugs and everything that goes with that. Now, already on the south side of that street, Sanford Road, there's a guy clearing property, wants to put 2 more mobile homes. All that drainage is gonna come right in my front yard. And basically, that's all I've got to say. And I thank y'all for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Laughlin. Appreciate you. Stacy Bird.
My name is Stacy Bird. I live at 2670 Whittington Road, about a quarter mile from where this proposed development's going to be. There's some inaccuracies where it says because the density is in character with the area. It's only in character because of the other duplexes that were built across the street. Most of these pieces of property, it was mentioned, I think 1.2 acres. I live a quarter mile away on 7 acres. There's a lot of people in this area that own multiple acres with single resident homes, and they have some decent value to them. You know that when you collect our taxes. So once any of these other people would decide, hey, I've got 1 or 2 acres, I could sell it because now there's been some established character. This entire road, because of people owning larger tracts of land, could turn into a huge rental neighborhood. There are several roads that turn off of Smith Ferry Road that people in the past have built some really nice houses on. I agree that is a gorgeous piece of property. If the developer is capable of $300,000, $400,000, and $500,000 houses, one of those right there would be really nice and would help the surrounding property taxes. But once this multi-family thing comes in, I could see, now we've set this precedent a second time, the next guy who owns 2 or 3 acres wants to sell it, and it's a really nice area. It could be a really nice area. It is getting nicer because people have come down here, and if you're not real familiar with the plat, it goes down towards the river. There are some older homes back there that are incredibly nice. There's easy some $500,000 houses close to the river. And some of those people don't want to go develop that $500,000 home if they've got to pass through all of this. So I really would like to, not even defer this, I would like to have you guys, I guess, just reject the ideal in general.
Thank you, Mr. Bird. Appreciate you. Raymond John.
It's Wayman Jones. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks
Jones.
for letting me speak. I live at 2691 Bay Forest Drive, which is about a half mile as a crow flies from where this property is going to be. And rather than talk about the property values going down and whatever, I'd just like to do the human element here. You know, what would you do? There's 3 duplexes currently, just been built, very nice, very pretty, on the west side of Smith Ferry Road. But now, people have seen that that's doing very good. Nice vehicles, boats. I'm sure there's some nice people who live there. So why not build 4 across the street and try to rent those? And I'm sure they can. But the expansion part of it, there's lots of property out there, as Mr. Bird spoke of, on each side of Smith Ferry Road, down Baker Road, Lofton, Sandifer. Once people see that these 4 duplexes are up and running and they're doing good, there's no reason why they're not going to start building more and more and more. And you might say, well, how do I know anything about this? Well, I've been in law enforcement for 46 years. I was with the state police for 30. The last 14 I've been with the sheriff's office, and 10 of those I was the manager for the Moss Bluff and Westlake areas. And I saw, because I would see every night of all the problems we had in Ward 1 along Victoria, Esther Drive, and all through there. Those duplexes are in ill repair. They're in terrible shape. I can't tell you how many calls we had in there every day, every night. And the reason I'm saying is this. Right now, that you might could rent these 7 for a goodly number, and you may have some good people in there. But bottom line is, they're gonna want those rented. And after this expansion here goes and those people go, it doesn't matter who's gonna be there. They're gonna look for bottom dollar is, how do we keep this rented? And they might say, look, we can screen our applicants, and we're only gonna choose the best people we can. Well, that's not gonna be true either, because once, you know, this development goes, they're gonna get anybody they can to move in there.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
I'm against it, and I would appreciate it if you would vote tonight to vote that down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Then Wayne Bergstrom.
My name is Lynn Bingston. I live at 2785 Bay Forest Drive. We are opposed, and everyone in our neighborhood is opposed to this development. And I agree with what, I believe, I don't know which one it was, who said, you know, it's not in character with the neighborhood, the density. It's only because y'all allowed the 3 duplexes there, which we were not in favor of to begin with. But the bottom line is, as a zoning commission, you have a responsibility to care not only for new development, but also to protect those of us who have invested the largest investment we will ever make in our entire life by building a beautiful home on Bay Forest Drive. Those homes range in value anywhere from about $250,000 to probably $400,000. And that's just Bay Forest. That's not talking about the beautiful houses on the end of Baker Road that go down to the water. And you have a responsibility not just for development, but also to protect us, the taxpayers, who have invested the largest amount of money in our entire lives to have a nice home. And I don't want to see my value go down the tube because, as our former people who have spoken have said, oh, this worked here, let's do it again. Yeah, now we got this density, but it's only because y'all have allowed it, because it was not there before. And so I'm opposed. And I believe you do have a petition from the neighborhood with practically every signature on it.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Bergstrom. Appreciate you. Is it Daigle?
I'm James Daigle. I lived at 622 Santa Fe Road for over 40 years. Right now, the sewage, I live at the end of the road. Sewage goes all my way. It goes into the woods. You move more people in there, it's gonna be more sewage. Whenever it's dry, you don't smell it that bad, but whenever it rains, it's pretty bad. Our area, the parish still hadn't got their act together about drainage. If we get a real hard rain, the water runs over the road. I don't believe we need any other, any more inconsiderate drivers in our area, which that would put more people in our area to be driving around. If you live in Westlake or been to Westlake, it's a traffic nightmare. So we don't need any more stuff like that going on. And the only thing it is, more people gonna be there, it's gonna be more sewage. So, if you smell the stuff, you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. Daigle.
Like I say, I'll oppose it. We don't need some more, especially some duplexes in our area.
Thank you for coming
Thank you.
tonight. Appreciate it. Shelby Womack.
Hi, I'm Shelley Womack. I currently reside at 620 Baker Road in Westlake. This property is just a spitting distance from my property. Also, talking about the sewage, it drains into the woods that borders my house. So of course, that will now be my backyard. I just want to mention that the property that we're talking about in the area in which it is, that property value has been on the increase. We have had family property in that area. I am a baker after Baker Road. So my family has been there forever, since it was developed out there. They were the only ones that wasn't even considered in the subdivision. Now, that property has steadily increased in value. So if these duplexes come in and we start moving our renters in, the $500,000 homes that are on the river, which, if you look at the scope, there is so many properties that border water. We probably have at least as many houses that are considered riverfront or waterfront property in comparison to landlocked property. Now, we don't have any more direction to move outward, to get away from these duplexes, to get away from multi-residential. There's no other way to move out and away from it. We are at the end. We are all dead-end roads. So we can't move further away from it. I know the lady representing Mr. Schneider showed you some pictures. This is currently the duplexes that showed up that none of us really were aware how they even were approved to be in the area. Now look at properties in our neighborhood. Yes, there is some rental properties right next to this property, but our rental properties in the area are so small. We have the majority of our houses, residential single-family houses, are sitting on an acre or larger in our area. Not little bitty lots. Everybody has big yards. I know I live on an acre. I had an acre across the street. Now, the property that was grandfathered in, that got broke up into smaller properties, those did have dwellings that
I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap it up. Your time is up, so if you would, just finish your statement, please.
we definitely are opposing this to come in.
Thank you so much for coming.
Is that all the blue cards?
That's all the blue cards, yes, sir.
I've just got a couple questions for staff. And looking here, this is, I know sometimes the colors on the computer can be off, but according to what I'm seeing here, this property in question is surrounded by R2 mixed residential, correct?
That's correct.
Except for the light industrial.
Yeah.
Right, and the light
Except for
industrial.
light.
Now, I don't see the duplex, was that rezoned to multifamily?
No, it was a minor subdivision.
Okay, on R2.
Right.
Okay,
So you can have one duplex per lot in that zoning.
yeah. You know, just general discussion, I know sometimes we can get into the weeds on this in discussion, but, you know, this property is surrounded completely by mixed residential, which allows all sorts, you know, of residential development, including mobile homes, you know, and then light industrial right next to it. When did we approve the 3 duplexes? Was that recent? They look fairly new. Just any history that you have on that?
The minor subdivision was approved sometime in 2017.
Okay, okay. You know, so, you know, a lot of times we work with precedents, as has been said.
Jake,
Excuse-
it didn't come before us.
It did not?
That's-
Okay,
It
so
was
that's
a minor
allowed within an
subdivision.
in-house,
Right.
which
It's
could,
approved administratively.
which could also be a route for this applicant.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, the precedent's been set in that regard. But I just wanted to make that note, you know, if this was sitting in the middle of R1, and I understand the line's very close, it's just sometimes with land use, that's the way it happens. So it's definitely not a spot zoning. To me, multifamily could be even more restrictive at times than mixed residential, for me, you know, for my opinion. But that's all I have, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Forsyth. Any other board member? Does the applicant have anything they'd like to say?
Yes, sir, we just want to indicate that, yes, we are in compliance with the density allowed. And we're not asking for a variance or anything like that. Drainage, we're going to comply with whatever requirements that the Department of Engineering puts on us. And also just in regards to the traveling to a $500,000 home and passing a duplex, that happens with a lot of large waterfront developments. As you travel to Graywood subdivision, you drive on Country Club Road and Big Lake Road and see duplexes. It's just the nature of the beast in development. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Ms. Tammy, I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Forshey?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
No.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
No.
Ms. Galicia?
No.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Armentor?
No.
5-4, 4 against.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, actually, the motion hasn't carried yet.
Don?
We have 10 members present, so we need 6 to vote for it to take action on it. So you have to vote on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Mr. Little?
No.
Item fails.
Item fails. Please. We'll give them a minute to clear the meeting room.
That's why we got to turn.
Good catch, Sam.
He earned his money.
That's right. All that talking about.
If y'all would, please, take your discussions outside, please, so we can carry on with our meeting.
Okay.
Agenda item number,
Here's some more, huh?
here's some more
Young lady.
pictures, ma'am.
Some more pictures.
Agenda item number 13, take appropriate action on RZ 03180061, a request by Stephen Shirley to rezone from agricultural A1 to general commercial C2 to allow commercial development, commercial building at 5028 Highway 27 South in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. I have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located south of Sulphur and encompasses just over a half acre of land. If the request is approved, the applicant intends to construct a commercial building consisting of 2 lease spaces, with each side being 1,425 square feet in size. He has requested C2 zoning to allow a broad range of potential uses. We have received written opposition to this request, and it's on your tablets. Because the development is consistent with the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that screening must be provided in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted, and that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Would the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentations? We don't have any blue cards. We do, like Ms. Wallace said, have a opposition that was on our board. Does the board members have any questions or concerns? With one opposition, I'd like to call for a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Galicia? I'm still looking. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. We can give you time.
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Forshey?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Motion carries.
9-4, sorry. 9-4, pardon me.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Item number 14, take appropriate action on RZ 0418-0062, a request by ECO Enterprises LLC to rezone from single-family residential R1 to multifamily residential RM to allow residential development, 25 single units at 1130 North Perkins Ferry Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Navarre. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses 3.67 acres of land. If approved, the applicant will sell the land to a developer who plans to construct the homes. The exterior of the units will be painted brick and hardy plank. Each unit would have 2 to 3 bedrooms and 1 to 2 bathrooms, totaling 1,000 to 1,300 square feet. The developer plans to provide a small park in the northwest corner of the property and will install a 6-foot wooden fence around the development. We have received a number of emails in opposition to this request, and they are on your tablets. Because the development is consistent with the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, that a drainage impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code, and that the development must meet the corridor overlay district standards in Chapter 26, Article 6, or Article 4, I'm not real good at Roman numerals, Division 5 of the Parish Code of Ordinances.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Please state your name and address, please, for the records.
My name is Tim O'Neill. I live at 615 Amber Drive in Moss Bluff. I'm the owner of ECO Enterprises. I bought this property about 4 years ago. It come for rezoning last year for duplexes. I got turned down. Since then, I've changed to single-family dwellings. It'll be 25 single houses for single-family dwellings. We'll have a green space in the area to keep the properties off of North Perkins as far as we can. It's a busy road. Other than that, I mean, the property conforms to the other properties around it. A lot of mixed residential around it. There's a number of trailer houses. There's duplexes on the same street. There's a trailer park directly across the street from this property. If anything, I think this would be an addition to property value for the surrounding properties. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got to say about it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Navarre?
You're gonna build 25 houses?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna sell the houses, or you're gonna use them for rental property?
No,
or
sir,
what?
that'd be rental property.
Any other questions for the applicant from the staff?
You said rental?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We do have 3 blue cards in opposition. I'm sorry, we got one blue card that's stated, marked as for, Cheryl O'Neill.
My name is Cheryl O'Neill. I'm a real estate broker. I've been in the business a long time. I represent Mr. O'Neill and also have worked with the person who wants to buy the property, the developer. I've dealt with properties in Moss Bluff for 2 decades now. And this property lies right within mixed use. There's surrounded again by mobile homes, duplexes, mobile home parks. When Mr. O'Neill brought this property to the zoning board a year ago, and it was denied because of the same opposition that's here tonight, within months, the property directly across the street from him was approved for duplexes, and not only was it approved, but variances were given for more duplexes. And there was no opposition at all to that. And that, because of the situation that put us in, it kept us for a year without being able to move forward on selling this property when we had multiple offers who all required zoning changes in that. One that we had who's still on the agenda and who's still interested in the property was a commercial convenience store. But we felt like that would not be good for that area at that time, and so we're going with this one, and we feel like it would be, again, it's going to be high-end rentals. It is not going to be anything that really is in Moss Bluff at this time. It's going to be high-end rentals. And the developer, Trademark Homes, has been in Moss Bluff also for multiple years and has done multiple projects in Moss Bluff, and they are all very successful. He's in good standing with the board, and he has done an excellent job in operating his rentals, his duplexes. And but again, these are not duplexes. There will be 25 single-family homes, much like similar to the cottages that are in Lafayette, if you're familiar with those.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill.
Thank you.
We have 2 blue cards in opposition. Jared Martin.
Hello. I'm Jared Martin. I live at 1569 Stafford Road. I stood in front of you guys a year and 2 months ago about the same piece of property in opposition to this. Us as a neighborhood, we still have the same concerns. Nothing has changed. We still have a traffic issue, a major traffic issue. We still have drainage issues in Moss Bluff. They're trying their best, the parish is, to get all this under control. But I sent emails and photographs of back in May. This took place last year in March. And I sent you emails, photographs stating in May, the flooding to the property directly to the east, because this property drains onto my property, which is the adjoining property. And then it goes onto this lower side to the east of us. So I took a picture back in May of some rain that we had. It was about 5 inches of rain, and what it impacts and what it does to the neighbors to the east. It gets in their barns. My grandfather's done replaced his barn floor 3 times in the last 10 years. And then I also sent you the same picture in August. And I had Mr. Darrell Duhan from the parish come out and look at the drainage. And he told me at that time, he said, I have 28 projects within the parish, 20 of them lie in Moss Bluff. And he said, we're doing everything we can, but we just can't get to this stuff fast enough. If you allow 25 homes to go on this, single-family rental homes to go on this, what's going to happen to the drainage? Where's it going to go? This property's been up for zoning. This is the 3rd time. 3 years ago, about a year after Mr. O'Neill purchased the property, he rezoned it from mixed residential to single-family residential, and there was not a one opposition to that. Nobody opposed that in the neighborhood. There is mixed residential surrounding this property, but there's an equal amount of single-family residential surrounding this property. Everybody lives in nice homes. There's only 3 trailers within 15 very expensive brick homes. And this is only 3.6 acres. Nobody in the neighborhood wants this. We all still feel very strong about how we felt last time. We're opposed to this, and it's a very bad idea. This is only 3.6 acres. If you're talking 25 single-family rental properties, that's a revolving door. What are we gonna have next to us forever? And if this Trademark LLC, if this gentleman that's gonna build it, if he decides in 10 years, I'm done, I don't want to mess with this no more, and he sells it, who's going to purchase this? Are they going to keep it up the same way he did? We don't know. The 6-foot wooden privacy fence, that's a great idea for 5 years. Who's going to maintain this? I brought this up last year. You can drive through Moss Bluff and look at all these subdivisions now. The fences are rotten. They're falling over from the wind blowing them, and nobody's doing anything about it. All these subdivisions keep getting passed, and they're saying that they're beautifying Moss Bluff, but nobody's maintaining the properties. The properties are getting run down, and we just don't want our property value going down. I just built a home. He zoned this single family, and I decided I was gonna build my home. I built my home, and 2 months later, he put it up for multifamily zoning. I built a $250,000 house. I've lived on the property 15 years. Had I known that, I would have never built the home that I want to stay in for 30 years. Thank you
Mr.
for
Martin.
listening.
Appreciate you coming. Todd Duplashan?
Hi, my name's Todd Duplashan. I live at 1545 East Lichty. Where that property is, it's directly in front of 3 residents on East Lichty Road. And I'm speaking for multiple people that live on East Lichty Road. We're a dead-end road. We're a half-mile long. There's 23 residences down that road with room for more. And there's gonna be more. They're still building on it. So we already right now have 23 residents. The way he has it designed, he's got a horseshoe driveway, a horseshoe road, and both of them come out on East Lichty. So you're just adding 25 more. You've over doubled the amount of residences in the first 3 lots. Being at a dead-end road, there's only one way for them to go. So just my thinking, I don't understand why going straight out to North Perkins, because that's where they have to go anyway. Our road is so skinny, I've got a measurement for you, it's 18 feet wide. And the ends of it, you know, because there's ditches on each side, and the ends of it are collapsed. So you only got use of so much. I have a normal size half-ton pickup truck, and mirror to mirror is 8 foot. If someone is waiting at that stop sign to get on North Perkins, you almost have to come to a stop to turn on our road because it's so skinny. I've done rent the tire, so I just come to a stop. I let those people pull out before I turn in. I'm not gonna run another tire because you go off in the ditch. So our main concern, not only about the rental, because we didn't understand it to be rental. I'm not against development. It'd be a beautiful place for what they first bought it for. He first bought it to build houses and sell those houses. And I think he had it designed for 12. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not against that. I mean, that'd be great. More houses just like us. But 25 rentals, and the same thing about the fence. If you go just north to Pentagulus, it's right on the corner of Coffee and stuff. That is a beautiful neighborhood. But drive by and look at their fence. It was a beautiful place when they first built it, but nobody has kept up. And the fence has made that place look horrible and nobody's doing anything about it. So basically what I'm just trying to say is we're in total opposition. Me and my neighbor, the second house, I'm the third, the second house, we both spent together right at $7,000 covering in our ditches. I just did mine last month. That's a perfect, we widened the road for the people that's gonna be turning into those deals, coming right into where, like I said, me and Mr. Brawley, he's not able to be here tonight. He works for the sheriff's department, he couldn't get off. But that's one of his big things too. So we're just dead-end road, they don't have but one way to go. So just, if they could do it differently, go to North Perkins Ferry Road, that's where they gotta go anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Duplessis.
Thank y'all for hearing me.
Any of the board members have any questions? Mr. Jake?
Go ahead, Mr. Smith. For the staff, I guess I'm trying to quantify consistent with the area, the term. And looking at the colored map, I think adjacent, as Ms. O'Neill pointed out, what was zoned, what they're asking for. Outside of those, and I'm looking at both the aerial and the colored map, that would be it, correct?
What, you mean
With
for
duplex type?
For multi?
Right, multifamily.
Multifamily? Yeah, but he's asking to do multifamily, but he's doing single-family development.
Right.
And the reason is because these are gonna be rental, he's not dividing the property to sell it. And so when you have multifamily zoning classification, you can do those types of, it allows for all types, single family, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, you name it, apartment complexes. So his site plan, that's why we were conditioning it to say that he's got the site plan would be approved on file, and that's what he'd have to go with. But So single-family is consistent with that area. It is denser, obviously, it's a denser type development. But that's why, that's why the zoning classification, if you look up and down North Perkins Ferry, there's several properties that are zoned multifamily that actually have duplex type developments on it, so. I don't know if that answered your question.
No.
I'm sorry. Maybe you can explain it a little bit.
Quantify the area. Is there a distance set when doing this?
So you
This
say
has
it's
come up
consistent with the
before.
area, like how?
Right. When you look at it, you just say, okay, within this quarter mile.
Oh, you mean when we're trying to figure out? There's not really a set area that I'm looking at. I'm looking at this corridor to see if there's similar type classification, zoning that we've done in that area. But there's not really a distance requirement that I'm looking at. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Jake?
When did we approve, did, Ms. O'Neill stated, and I see it, a zoning of multifamily right across the street? Was that last year?
I believe so, yes. It was for three duplexes, I believe, 6 units total.
So we approved duplexes right across the street?
Correct.
And that was from C1 to multifamily? Because it appears that there's C1 surrounding that.
I believe so, yes. I'm trying to get back to that. Yes, C1 to multifamily to allow 3 duplexes.
Okay, and so originally, Mr. O'Neill rezoned from R2 to single family?
It was C1 and R2.
Okay.
And then it was rezoned to single family to do a subdivision.
Okay. I'm like Mr. Smith, I'm just trying to get my head around,
Right.
Any precedents that we've set and then what's surrounding. Again, it's my opinion, but, R2, it's surrounded by R2 is a very open-ended zoning that allows, all types of residential development. And in my opinion, a multifamily is even more restrictive. And the fact that he switched to single-family residence, although they would be for rental. But that was my question, just when, if we did in fact rezone right across the street duplexes. So,
Mr. Navarre?
Don't we have a certain amount of square footage you're supposed to have a house?
That was my question.
Yeah,
What are the density requirements
You
right
mean
there?
in terms of the
If you're gonna
square-
build a house,
So much land?
can you build a
house on a lot.
90 by
7,000.
50 house on a 100 by 60 lot?
Well,
Don't you have to have so many square footage to build a house?
you do. I mean, you gotta have, and if you rezone it to multifamily though, it's not calculated based on that. It's calculated the number of dwelling units per acre. So,
But this isn't rezoned into multifamily.
well, he's,
Oh.
yeah, they are. They're requesting to
Again.
rezone it to multifamily. And so that allows you to go up to 7 units to the acre. So if you've got what's the acreage on?
0.37.
3.7, you calculate it times 7.
Well, with that many houses.
That gives you 25 units to the
But with
acre.
that many houses,
Or
on
25
a
units.
little over 25 houses on a little over 3 acres of land, how are they gonna take care of the sewage?
Well, they have to have they're gonna have to have a community type system in order to do that. They're not gonna be allowed to put individual technology on a multifamily. Even though it's single family, they're not gonna be able to do that. They're gonna have to put in a community type system.
I mean, and I understand this young man's point. He's been here, this is the 3rd time he's come up here for a change, and I hate to keep throwing him down, but he needs to get a little bit in my opinion, more realistic and not be wanting to put 25 houses on 3 acres of land. You know, that's,
And we're not talking duplexes, right?
no, we're talking
It's
houses.
single-family homes, and I think the, I
So
think.
where did it start? Where is our progression from the first time you came up? It was what and went to what?
It was C1 and R2.
Okay.
And he asked to rezone it to single-family residential to do a subdivision. And that didn't work out. And then he came back and asked for RM to do duplexes, and that was denied. And now you have the current request.
How many duplexes did he want to put and how many did he want to do the first time? Wasn't it like 12 or? We have that?
I don't have the number of lots for the subdivision.
Is yours?
Can we,
But I believe it was 24 units. Yes, 24 units was for the duplexes. So he was gonna do 12 duplexes, 24 units total. But I can't say without doing a little bit of research how many lots were proposed for the subdivision.
I live in Moss Bluff. I go down this road and it is really busy. I'm not opposed to development. That's just a whole lot of houses in one spot.
does,
It's just a whole lot.
You know, the other thing too is, and I've talked to the staff about this, is that, you know, there's a lot of mobile home, there's properties that are zoned for mobile homes. And if you think about it, if you zone your property a mobile home, you can have a 5,000 square foot lot. That's pretty dense. So we're out there rezoning properties and mobile home parks and putting, you know, putting 5,000 square, you know, a unit on a 5,000 square foot lot. So, and those are considered permanent homes.
How many square feet would these lots be?
Based
About
on the
6,400.
calculation, 60-some hundred, just under 7,000.
6446.
So if you think of it in those terms, you know, in terms of density, you know, we're allowing mobile home
Yeah,
parks at
I
5,000
gotcha.
square foot, and then this is gonna be stick-built, you know, but,
And they look nice. It looks like a very nice place.
so.
does the applicant have anything he needs to give you a last chance on rebuttal?
I'd just like to address the drainage issue that was brought up. I did get a drainage impact analysis done on this property, and it was determined that there is no significant impact for the original zoning of the 16 houses of what I originally rezoned the property to. They did request that I redig the ditch, regrade the ditch from the corner of my property down to the big gully that they're now, I'm not sure exactly what gully that is, but it's the one that the parish is in the process of widening and deepening to hopefully alleviate a lot of the drainage issues in Moss Bluff. That property drains directly into that gully. So I think drainage issues will be alleviated once the parish completes that project. And also, as far as the fences go, it was brought up potentially Square's fence, which I agree with them. It's pretty dingy. It's fallen down. The difference there is that's owned by the subdivision, which was then passed on to the homeowners association. This will be a individually owned property. The guy who's going to be developing this also owns a duplexes on this same street. He has 3 duplexes on this same street, East Lichty. I believe there's pictures of them provided in the PowerPoint. They were very well kept up. Also, it was brought up within how many miles or so was some of this property zoned. I also have pictures that was in the PowerPoint. There's several properties within 1/2 mile of the proposed property that are trailer houses and duplexes.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
it.
O'Neill. Mr. Ormsby.
Yes, for the applicant, please.
Mr. Ormsby.
You're telling me right now it is zoned that you can go in and subdivide, put 16 lots in, build 16 houses on it right now without coming to us?
Well, it's preliminarily approved.
Oh, I
through
thought
the-
it was approved.
I would have to put in parish roads, drainage.
Right, yeah.
Open. It'd be much more costly to me. Originally, that was the purpose I bought the plan for. That's what I would have liked done. Since then, some bigger developers, DSLD has a 100-house subdivision on North Perkins. To be honest, they're selling them for cheaper than what I can build them for. These tract home builders have come in and they've pretty much ruined the market for the smaller builders in Moss Bluff. So it's not feasible for me as a small contractor in Moss Bluff to come in and build 16 houses right there. I would lose money building 16 houses. I would have to sell them for cheaper than what I can build them for.
Any other questions from the board members? Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
I do have a question for the staff.
Okay.
What is the duplexes across the street? Do you have the information on how many units, the density that we approved? Because it looks like a very small piece of property in relation to the property in question. I was just curious if y'all had that, if there was a variance, you know, for more density or.
I just may need for you to give me just a second to look it up. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But there was a variance.
So,
There was what, I'm sorry, I couldn't.
They were allowed 4.6 units by right with the rezoning, but they asked for a variance that was approved for 6 units total.
so we allowed over the,
Correct.
is he requesting a variance tonight?
No.
So he's within the density?
Yes.
That would, I mean, for me, that's my only problem with turning anyone down after we just did it last year with more density, if density's the issue. That's my opinion. Mr.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Anyone else have any questions?
Nope.
Ms. Tammy, can we do a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Link?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Ms. Galicia?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
No.
Mr. Armentor?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
6 for, 3 against.
Motion carries. Move on to item number 15. Take appropriate action on RZ 0418-0063, a request by Cross Diversified Development Corporation to rezone from agricultural A1 to single-family residential R1 to allow single-family residential development, 33 lots in Dreamview Estates Phase 4 subdivision in the 3000 block of North Perkins Ferry Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses 11.5 acres. If the rezoning and preliminary subdivision plat are approved, the applicant will construct this 4th phase of an existing development. The smallest lot in the development is nearly 9,000 square feet in size, and the development will have public water and community sewer. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because the development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. We have no blue cards either. Does any of the board members have any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Moving right along.
Right along. Agenda item number 17. I'm sorry, number 16. Take appropriate action on SUB 0418-0099, a request by Cross Diversified Development Corporation for preliminary subdivision approval to allow a single-family residential subdivision, 33 lots in Dreamview Estates Phase 4 subdivision in the 3000 block of North Perkins Ferry Road of Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. A motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This is the same track discussed in the previous agenda item. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because the development meets the requirements for single-family residential zoning, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations: that the development is subject to an application for and/or compliance with an LPDES stormwater discharge permit, which may be required from DEQ or the police jury, and that the preliminary plat and the drainage impact analysis must be approved by the Division of Engineering prior to submittal of engineering plans.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. We have no blue cards and no opposition has been presented. Any questions from the board members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to agenda item number 17. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on April 19th, 2018, with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from the April 17th, 2018 meeting. J&A Investments, Mark LeBlue Road, Planning and Zoning deferred, police jury upheld. Mary Augustus, West Abear Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. James Wiggins, Ogden Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury overturned. Harold Temple, Highway 109 South, Planning and Zoning denied, police jury overturned. The next item on the agenda to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, June the 19th, 2018, in the police jury meeting room.
There you go.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. Meeting adjourned.